Continue. Please
Yeah,
continue, Sean.
Okay,
that's
so
wild.
yeah, that was what I thought of when you mentioned in your dream that that was the first thing that happened, that you crashed into someone
And
else
jet
on a jet
skis.
ski. And I actually
Yeah.
went to high school with someone I knew that that happened, and like
What year was
apparently
that?
this was I was still in high school. It was probably like 2010.
Okay. Yeah,
Um
this dream occurred when I was in high school, so before 2010. It was in the
So
90s. Yeah.
yeah, there's a couple of really interesting things that you said about the dream, like that immediately caught my attention. Well, you like when you first got on the call, you said you started talking about dreams and dying in a dream and how it's bad luck and lots of people think, it's whatever, whatever, whatever. But like
I thought it
the
was the
first,
coolest thing.
right? You
I
thought it
thought
was the coolest thing.
I thought
First
it was
low,
cool. Instead of hearing everybody's hypothesis of like what that could mean, I'm like, well, I had a dream where it started off with me dying, and it was like the best dream I've ever had.
well, that's the interesting
Yeah.
thing. That's the super interesting thing about it is that you started off with dying, and 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 this is like one of those things that I want to address inside of this community and inside of this conversation is that like things in our dreams are precognitive. They're like pre-verbal, right? They speak through images, symbols, ideas, and like death and dying is so closely intertwined with rebirth in life. I mean, it doesn't mean one thing. And while things can have like a greater meaning, an archetypal meaning, meaning that not only is it a cultural understanding of a thing, but it spans multiple cultures even, right? It spans lots of time. That's an archetypal meaning. And then there's cultural meaning, and then there's the meaning that it has to the individual, right? And that's what I'm interested in talking to people about because, like, yeah, you can go look in a dream dictionary and you can talk to other people about whatever, but like, really, you have to kind of go in. You gotta tease these little elements apart, and you got to figure out what the what the dying means to you, what the rocks mean to you, what the water means to you, the jet skis, like, and then you take a look at what was going on in your life. You said you were late teen. I'd
Yeah,
be I would go out on a limb and I would say you were probably getting ready to go off to college or something, right? A separation
I
from
think
your
so.
family, from your brother,
Yeah.
right? And it was like, yeah, and that was like your deep subconscious kind of processing what that's going to be like to be
Hmm.
away from your brother who you're so close to.
No,
It
we
would be
weren't
kind of
close at that time. Like we have a 5 year difference, so that was like the perfect age for us to,
is he
you know,
older than you?
he's younger.
Oh, he's younger. Oh. Well, maybe there was like well, once again, maybe this is like it's not like something that is what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's clear to your like conscious mind. You might not have been best friends at the time, but maybe you were closer than you realize. I mean, your family after all. And maybe like you were just dealing with like, oh, I'm going to be going away, and like, what's that going to be like to
Yeah.
be away from
Well,
family?
I was pretty overprotective of him in a sense of growing up, I was the goody goody doing, all the right things. And he felt like he was a black sheep and he'd go off and test everything and get in trouble all the time. And then there were times where my parents are pretty cool. So when I caught him doing stuff and he didn't get in trouble, I was like, the asshole tattletale that's like, what, you're not going to reprimand him for that? Like he just snuck out and I caught him. Come on. He's like, will you stop ratting on me? So we had that, but it's just because I cared about him so much.
Hmm, got it. Now, Sean, did this thing that happened is that's something that happened in real life? Like two kid, like they hit it.
yeah, yeah. That actually happened in real life, and it was kind of a big deal in the high school because it was like, holy shit, like Pat Barther's brother died, and like he crashed into him on a jet ski on Bud Lake. And that lake has killed, well, a lot of people have died on that lake. Like it's famous for freezing over in the winter up in North Jersey, and then people will take their quads out and ride around, and a lot of the times the ice breaks and they'll like sink. Um,
Wow.
but there's a lot of people that have died in that lake and just that whole area. I mean, it was weird, but that was the first thing that caught my attention because it was like, holy crap. I
Yeah.
know people, I know someone that's happened to, you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right.
That's wild.
It is
yeah,
wild. And like not to get too far out too quick. This is like one of my biggest fears about doing this is like going too deep too fast with people, you know,
let it
but like
happen.
yeah, but like what would it be like to consider, I don't know, like what am I trying to say here? Well, like you said, like that lake, there's something about that lake where tragedy kind of just seemed to happen there. And so I wonder if there's some psychic knot, some energetic something that happens in a dream space around the lake, you
Oh,
know?
wow. Oh, wow.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Interesting.
I was thinking earlier, maybe dreams are our apophatic reality. Like this is what, like you can tell what is happening by seeing in your dreams what's not happening, or maybe it's vice versa. But maybe dreams do have a significant impact on reality, because they're so closely interwoven. But maybe that's just because of our brain and its limited ability to perceive things, you know?
yeah.
Like
What
if
was
we
the
were a
word that you use? I'm
spirit,
a little tripped up on it. Apathetic?
apophatic.
Apophatic.
It's like discovering it is what is not. So like the best way to figure out what your rights are is to figure out what your rights aren't. You know what I mean? So like you don't have the right to transgress upon someone else's, property, or it's free will to sexually associate with who they choose or whatever. It all comes down to theft. You don't have the right to steal, whether it's someone's life, their personal security, so that's
Hmm.
what I mean by apophatic. Like you can figure out more about what something is by understanding what it's not, because it's usually a shorter list of what it's not. Like
So
our
so
rights are
so what you're
infinite, you know?
so
As
what
long
you're
as you're not
saying in
hurting
the
someone.
what you're
Sorry.
saying in the no, it's okay. I'm just trying to understand. Like, so what you're saying in the context of dreams is that it's what you're saying is that it's like it's a it's a way to understand what reality is and is not, or is it a way to understand what dreams are and what they're not?
I mean, that part, that's a great question. I feel like my take is that dreams are showing us what reality is not, by showing us what dreams are. It's showing us maybe closer to what reality is. Or maybe it's vice versa. I tend to lean on the like spiritual end where our dreams are showing us like, hey, this is closer to what is the experience, the of underlying creation,
Yes, I see what you mean.
Yeah, it almost sounds like you're going more like into the imagination aspect rather than the physical, real aspect.
I'm so
Sure.
glad you. Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Excuse me. I mean, it's hard to say because like our reality is it's so bogged down with like facts, you know what I mean? Like the smallest molecule is not known and just all this shit. And it's like we almost have to be in a dream. Because it's like no one can.
The Matrix dream.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know. I don't know, maybe all I'm trying to get at is dreams are maybe trying to show us um, a more inhuman but spiritual side of
I
reality
think
that
it's
is
more
not.
tapping into our subconscious. Our dreams are trying to get us to remember a little bit more of our subconscious. Like to for us to kind of really remember who we are, not the world we live in that we're being told is the way it is, but more of
Hmm.
like an inner spoken knowing of like you got to remember this and it just portrays in dreams.
Sure,
That's
like
what I think.
showing you a past life, even I think is, or whatever, whatever semblance of that. But yeah, I think that's everything's on the table with dreams, it
Yeah.
seems.
I have a really interesting question about dreams, but I think maybe I'll save it for typing it in to get engagement from people on that.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. I would
Yeah,
really
because I just
appreciate
thought
that.
of a like I'll just tell you guys really quick here to get it started, but I'll start a chat in school. But I'm curious. One question I always tend to ask people about their dreams is do you tend to dream from POV point of view, or do you
Hmm,
dream like a movie clip that's edited?
Mm, that's a
Everybody
great
has a
question.
different answer.
Oh,
It's so
that
please,
is a
really
good
fun,
question.
wild.
please. I'm really glad that these things came up. I had a couple of like, not talking points, but like questions I wanted to ask. And one of those questions was, what do you feel is the difference between a memory, um, a dream, or an imagination, or like a sort of
Hmm.
like an imagination or a machination of the future? What's the difference between any of them?
Oh, like when you're daydreaming, you mean?
Well, I mean, the difference in quality, like the
Oh.
quality of a memory or of a dream or
Oh,
of
wow.
a thought in the future. What's the difference between them? And the other thing was that I was curious about is like there's this trope going around. I think trope's the right word. There's this trope going around. It has been for a while, and it's becoming more and more popular that we're living in this simulation, right? That what we're
Right,
and
Matrix.
it's like if you think about the Matrix, right? And if you think about it, it's not that far out. But the thing that I don't like about it, and again, I'm just going on a theory here. I'm not. This is. I'm no expert. I'm just here living in a question, and I'm asking other people to join into this question with me. But um, it seems to me that if it can be a simulation, it can be a dream too. But if it's a dream, what's cool about that is it gives you autonomy. Like you're the one that's creating your own simulation. Whereas the simulation theory, it like puts you in a place of being controlled, right? But the dream theory puts you in a place of control, or it could once you have like realized consciousness.
And I think that kind of goes in line also with timelines, right? Like, are you able to like alter things based on dreams and decisions and hints? And like, are there different, is a dream maybe like a different version of reality in another timeline?
Mm-hmm.
Or in a what is like the other dual universe?
Right? Yeah, multiverse, like a multiple,
Multiverse, yeah.
like another potential reality or
Or just a
infinite.
different dimension. Like, what if we're living all these lives, like on the first, second, third, fourth, fifth dimension, and our dreams are just like those intertwining aspects of them?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um,
Right.
that is, I mean, again, anything's on the table with dreams, right? Like, what the hell? It's
Right.
so, it's so within reach, but you can't grab it.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't.
to answer the first part of your question, James, I think the main difference between a memory and like an aspiration of the future or a vision or even a daydream versus a sleeping dream is your conscious mind is completely shut off when you're sleeping. At least from what I understand, for those types of dreams, like you can't look around. Um, like I'll find myself, seeing things in my mind while I'm reading a book that distract me from what I'm reading. Whether I'm thinking about like work or whatever. So I think that's one of the main differences is your eyes are open um, when you're not dreaming. Um, when you're having a memory, your eyes can be open, and when you're thinking about the future or your goals or dreams, your eyes could be very well open. So I think that's the one main obvious difference
Well, what
that I
about lucid
personally think.
dreaming when it comes to that statement? Because lucid dreaming is kind of between the two.
True, true. I mean that's
Have you
it
guys
has to be a
ever
combination.
have you
I've never
guys
experienced
ha
that.
have you had experience with lucid dreaming? It's wild.
Yeah, not a ton. Like I've only been able to become lucid a handful of times, but it was wild when I could.
Yeah.
Like I had this idea, this plan that I wanted to like walk through something. I wanted to walk through a wall. I wanted to do something, and I came lucid, and then I was like, whoa, I'm in a dream. Can I walk through a wall? And I did. I walked through a wall, and I remember putting my hand through a table, and then you know what I mean.
Whoa.
And it was just like and like the thing I realized in that lucidity was that like yeah in a dream like the the experience is it's definitely an altered experience from reality that we typically are in, but it's not without rules. There are still rules, which I find really interesting. Like you can't, I don't know. I mean, at least I felt like I still was beholden to some sort of
Are they
rules.
your own rules?
They could
Or
be. See, that's
are they a
that.
universal rule? Like that's I've never heard of rules in a dream. I don't know. Because the rule I always heard was you can't die in your dream, and I've proven that one wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I've died in dreams numerous
Yeah.
times. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, and I'm okay. And I'm
I,
like I'm happy to not know. It's just like this conversation is so interesting and so
yeah.
stimulating and
I mean, there's so many wild dreams that I can share. I mean, I'll save them for another time, but I just like thought of another, like there's certain common dreams that everybody has, right? Like a lot of
yep.
people have dreamt, like they dream that they're flying or whatever in the sky. I don't fly in the sky in my dreams. I'm usually flying in space, like floating in space, not, so all these rules that I hear of, mine are always different. Another one is like people that have dreams where they're naked and they're freaking out because they're naked. I've had a dream where everybody else was naked and I was the only one that was dressed. It was really weird, like, why is everybody naked? So I
Yeah.
break a lot of, breaking a lot of the rules of the usual dreamscapes. It's interesting. I find this topic fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm really glad to have you on the call and to have you guys so engaged. It's so cool to have everybody's microphones off, like everybody's y'all are sit up forward. You're very, very engaged in this. And um, that's really what I want. I want people to start getting interested in their dreams again. I learned recently that, and it makes perfect sense that this is just what people used to do for entertainment back in the day. They would sit around and they would talk about their dreams
Mm,
and
Oh,
like
really?
where did that go? And
mm,
one thing I've been noticing since I started doing this and talking with people is that and actually Sean, you were one of the first people, but I've been noticing that a lot of people's their dreams are seeded by television. Like
yeah.
we have these new
Mm,
archetypes that exist across the
mm.
consciousness sphere, and they people the dreams that people are having, the symbols that are showing up are a lot like pop culture, and I find that to be a really interesting phenomenon.
I find that terrifying personally because it's like, dude, the screen has like invaded our subconscious, and our dreams aren't really even our own as much anymore. It's what we saw on TV. Like, just to kind of cue you in what we're talking about a little bit here, Denise. I was talking to James, one of our first conversations about this random ass dream I had one time, and it had like the entire cast, or at least the main cast of Better Call Saul, and it was really strange. And they like Walter White like gave me a small conversation. It was just very weird, and it was interesting because James was trying to break it down. Like, what do you think these characters represent to you? And it's like, oh my God, I didn't even think of that.
Huh.
That's terrible to think that like Walter White could be some type of archetype in my subconscious that represents something deeper. It's annoying to think about.
Or you were just watching that and thinking about that when you went to sleep and implemented yourself into it somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
but
so interesting.
it's crappy. We should all sell our televisions tonight, put them up on Marketplace at least.
You're muted.
You're muted,
Yes.
James.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had to set a timer. We got 8.5 minutes left on the call. But um, yeah, I don't, for me, I can see how that is a frightening thing, like the screens have invaded, they've taken over. It's screens from sun up to sundown in a lot of instances. And then
Mm.
to have that influence on your subconscious while you're sleeping, yeah, it's very unsettling, right? You're like, wow, it's found its way in. And
Mm.
I don't take such an alarmist perspective on it, like because I I do think that that's a concern that the screens have really taken over. Um, it's kind of like my call to action. It's kind of like why I'm here, why I've created
Mm.
this thing, because the screens have taken over and because our attention is being hijacked all the time. Like they've gotten into your dreams, right?
Mm.
Like, and we choose it. We really do. We choose it by choosing our waking life that way, right?
Hmm.
Um, and this is like for me. This is a call to action to people out there to be more creative and to be more intentional with their attention. Be more choosy about what you take in because it is imprinting on your consciousness. It's imprinting um, on how you experience the world. It really is, and but I don't take an alarmist view on it. I just see it as an opportunity to create more powerfully. Because if
Mm.
if there's a group out there, or if there's an individual or a government or a network on television vying for your attention, well, then you know that your attention is probably the most valuable thing of yours. And this is an opportunity for you to take it back,
Mhm.
right? And choose what you focus on.
Mm.
What are we here to do? Are we here to consume, or are we here to create?
Quality of attention.
Right, right. Um,
Hmm. Maybe is that why I'm not dreaming as much as I used to? Am I
it could
getting too
be.
caught up in like, always being on the computer working or like, then watching TV to unwind and just like sh shut everything off?
Do you remember a distinct time when your dreaming stopped?
I was trying to think about that. I'm trying to think of the last dream I had. I mean, there's like little snippets here and there that sometimes I'll kind of remember, but by the end of the day, I'll forget. Um, I think I dream all the time. I mean, I always go to sleep with an intention, I always go to sleep. I mean, I love sleeping. That's maybe one of the reasons why I've always had such great dreams is like I can just like fall asleep really quick and be out for 8 to 9 hours, like undisturbed, no problem. Um, so I I've just always loved dreaming. I don't know.
Mm,
But lately it's maybe I'm so deep or so I don't know. Like I'll remember some things and then just totally forget because I'm move on with my day or whatever.
sure. Yeah. Do you have a practice of recording your dreams?
I used to, and I still have a stack of books by my bedside, with even a dream journal. And I think it's been years actually since I put anything in the dream journal. I should go look at it and see what maybe I should go read through it a little bit.
Yeah,
Or
it might
maybe
help.
I'll wait until our next call and like go through it and read it with you guys, see
Yeah.
what comes up.
Well, I mean, I know for me, like that's really interesting to know that you used to dream so much and so vividly, and you can remember they were so impactful, and then now you say it's been a long time since you've even dreamed.
That I've had a really impactful one that I remember. Yeah.
Well, the thing that works best for me is really to make the intention and to record it. Even if you wake up in the morning, you can't remember anything but like a thread, like one word or a color or a symbol or a one thought or even the emotion that you woke up with. Like sometimes I wake up with a song in my head and I'm like, where did that even come from? And I'll write it down. And later in the day, it might it might jog my memory and I might remember it. I might not, but like just just impressing on your subconscious to remember and that it's important and that you want to know and that you're curious, it does
Yeah.
help to
Well, I think
spark that again.
the fact that we're connecting and talking about it out loud might implement something in our subconscious now. We're like, maybe I will because there's more of a purpose than just myself now to be like, oh, I got to remember my dreams so I can talk about it with people, you know? Like that might overlap something in that psyche too. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, over the course of the next week or something, just kind of pay attention to see if anything comes up around remembering, what was going on in your life when you were last dreaming a lot, and then what happened, what changed. I mean, that's not something you have to share or anything like that's another thing
Yeah.
I'm
No,
I'm very much aware of on in this community is that I want people to feel safe and I want the things that they want to remain private. I want you to overshare and all that kind of stuff. So, but for yourself, like consider like where'd it go? What was going on? Yeah,
yeah, bring it back.
yeah. Like right now, my dream life is not super like I'm not able to be in it right now because I am spending so much time building this, working on my art. I have a day job. We're moving in a month. I have to find a part. There's so many things going on, and like being able to leisurely wake up in the morning is not really an option. So I do what I can. I record almost every day. Um, eh, but it's when I'm able to actually put my intention into it and my attention into it that it really does like come back with force.
Well, thank you for putting this group together. I think this is really fun.
Yeah, this is super fun. I'm like really psyched that y'all, like I said, you all are like at the edge of your seat, and that's very
Yeah.
encouraging for me.
Yeah, dreams have always been such a big part of my life, and just I've always believed in the messages from dreams and everything. So to have a group to start talking about that kind of stuff, like it's exciting. It's fun. So, thank you for promoting this and starting it.
Heck yes. Well, we got about 30 seconds left, so if any of you guys want to put end on a good note, please go right ahead. Sean, you got anything
To be
else?
continued.
Yeah, yeah. I got nothing else. This was a good talk. Thank you.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I had a really great time. And yeah, share anything that comes up in the group, whatever you feel comfortable with, and feel free to book a one-on-one call. We could talk about your dreams and like really get into the symbols and stuff. But yeah, right now I'm building, and we're all building, and my interest is in getting to know everybody and being of support also. So. Yeah, I really appreciate y'all being here, and we'll see you throughout the week and next week,
Yeah,
hopefully.
thanks for having us.
All
Cool.
right.
Thanks, James.
Good night.
Good
Night,
night.
guys.
Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.
Ah.